Good morning. It is Saturday, October 5th, 2019. It's the first hunt I've had this year. Our season opened up just a few days ago. And I've already had some action this morning. I had a doe and a button buck fawn come by. And I had a shot at the doe, but it's the one doe I told myself I wasn't going to shoot over here. I'm over at the funnel spot where my buddy lives, and they're pretty fond of the single doe. So I let her walk, only for her to notice me and then start blowing. So it's been an eventful morning. And I just might end up having to take that doe out after all, so we'll see if she gives me another shot or maybe some other does come through. I'm just excited to be out. First time of the year for me. Alright, well that's pretty much going to do it for me this morning. Just saw the doe and the fawn first thing. And other than that, it's been pretty quiet. So I'm gonna pack up and head home for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna be headed up to the public spot that I got for the first half of the season. So I won't be able to do any filming there, as with, has been a case in the past few years. So yeah, I will check in and let you know how the hunt went.
Alright, well I'm on my way home. It is only 4:30 right now. On my way home from the public land spot that I have. And I got a good, about 3 hours out there, but I didn't see anything at all. And then it started pouring rain on me. So backed up real quick and I'm headed home to spend the rest of the evening with the family. So no luck today on my first day hunting. Alright, hello everybody. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd. It is about 10 to 5 at the moment. I am just heading out over to the funnel spot for the last probably maybe hour-ish of light, unfortunately, is all I'll have.
Alright, well, I'm now back home and changed up, but the hunt was not all the best. So as soon as I pulled up, my buddy's dog started barking and did not let up for, well, probably at least 45 minutes. I finally did get out to a tree, picked a tree, and I got one step up in the tree and a deer started blowing at me. So I don't know exactly what it was, couldn't see it, but I'm hoping that it was blowing at the fact that the dog was barking constantly and not that it saw me. Either way, it didn't really sound like an older or bigger deer, so I don't believe it was the one I was going after tonight. I did end up seeing two does, but they did not come within range, and I didn't even see them long enough to get the camera on and get them on it. So I don't know, busted hunt from the beginning, I guess. Just as an update on the last couple weekends, I did end up going down south to the family farm and hunting down there. It was one hunt, and I have also made it out to the public land spot once too for a morning hunt, and I saw one doe that only got to as close as 45 yards, so not a shot I really wanted to take. It was a bit of a bummer though, because what ended up happening was that she came on a trail. So in the morning I was walking in the dark, did not have a tree picked out yet or anything like that. I just knew the area that I wanted to get to. So I finally got back in there and I found a tree that I wanted to get in, and as soon as I got within maybe 10 yards of the tree, I started walking in water. I was not prepared for that, which is a huge bummer. I mean, it was the tree that I needed to be in, but I couldn't get to it unless I was going to get, knee deep in water, which in hindsight, I should have done anyways and said screw it and gotten really, really wet. As it was, I only got, in about 8 inches instead of all the way up to my knee. So I was already about halfway there probably. So I backed up a little bit and picked a different tree that should have still given me a really good opportunity, but that doe that I ended up seeing was, like I said, 45 yards at the closest from the tree I was in, but would have been under 20 yards had I been able to get into the tree I wanted to get into. So, lesson learned. Next time I'll just get wet to make sure I'm in the right tree. But super bummed about that too. Would have been a chip shot.
Alright, today is Saturday, November 9th. I am currently heading up to the public land spot. I have today and tomorrow to finish out my hours up there. So I'll be spending the rest of the afternoon up there. It's about 10 to 1 right now. So I should be able to basically finish up my hours today, and then tomorrow I'll just sit up there for a couple hours to see if, just to make sure I'm beyond the hours and get the final number of hunts I have to have. So far this year, going into this final weekend, it's been rough up there. The last time I was up there was last weekend. I spent an entire day up there on Saturday, and it was a pretty uneventful hunt in terms of the majority of the day. I saw a young, fork rack buck in the morning, probably 7:45, and then I did not see another deer until maybe an hour before dark. I did end up getting a shot at that deer. It was a doe, and I wasn't quite sure of the shot, so I backed out. I backed out for the rest of the night because I couldn't find. I found the back like 6 inches of my arrow with zero blood on it whatsoever, and so I am not quite sure what happened with that shot. So I went back, wasn't sure, so I backed out. Went back the next morning and just decided to follow the trail that I saw her take off on to see if I could find any blood. And probably 75 yards into that trail, I found my first spot of blood. So I was like, yay, I did actually hit the deer. So I kept following the trail and finding more blood. Not a great trail by any means, but it wasn't exactly extremely tough to follow either. So I followed the blood trail for a good 125 yards past there, so about 200 yards away from the shot location, and I couldn't find anything else. I don't really know what happened. It just seems as though it clotted up, and that was it. I grid searched the area for the rest of the day, trying to find any pocket that she could have ran into to die, but I found nothing. No more traces of her whatsoever. So that was really disappointing. And to top it off, I was, before even getting down, I had more deer come by, and I took a shot at one of the doe fawns. Actually, the doe fawn was with the first deer that I shot, and then she ended up coming back. So I took a shot at the fawn and had my arrow deflect. It was a clean miss, and so I was a bit disappointed about that. And then right before getting down, I had two more deer come in, two more does, and I took a shot at at the bigger of the two, and again I had my arrow deflect. So it was a spot that I just couldn't see the branches. It's unfortunate, but again, that was also like complete clean miss. No blood on the arrow, no hair on the arrow, it was a for sure clean miss. So fortunate enough that the two other arrows I slung did not touch a deer whatsoever, and but it was a rough that, I mean, talk about a rough hunt. That was pretty rough. And then I was really excited about that spot too. In fact, that's where I'm going to be headed up for this afternoon. So hopefully those does are still coming around there. When I was up there the following day from the shot, there actually was another doe sitting up underneath the tree that I was in that night. So I know that does are still going past there. It is November 9th, so I'm hoping one of those does will bring a nice buck by tonight, but who knows. Obviously, it's real tough to get shots in that spot. I don't have the ability to trim out lanes, so I just got to do my best to try and pick out spots. I'm going to be in a slightly different tree tonight to try and help alleviate that issue in terms of the branches, but we will see. I mean, I'm confident in the spot, that's for darn sure, but I'm not 100% confident in how many different shooting lanes I'm going to have through there. So I might end up getting up there and having to either A, get back down because I can't shoot anywhere. Because the last thing I want is for another hunt like last weekend where I shoot 3 arrows and don't end up with a deer. So we'll have to see how it goes. I went and checked some trail cameras this morning over at the funnel spot, and man, I got a really nice buck on that twice during daylight in the last week. So once I'm finished getting my hours up in here, up in the public spot, then I'm going to be focusing pretty heavily, I think, on that funnel spot for the remainder of November. Other than for the shotgun season, I'll be down at the family farm for that. Alright, well, the hunt is over. I ended up seeing 4 deer actually this afternoon. I think 3 does and 1 buck for sure. It was actually a really decent 8 or 9 point buck. There was no shot opportunity, and I believe he was a little too young for me to want to shoot. I think he was probably a 2-year-old, but he was definitely a nice buck. He's going to be really nice in a few years. Alright, well, today is Sunday, November 10th, and I just am on my way back home from my last hunt up at the public land spot for the year. Today was the last day to be able to hunt it, so you know, and unfortunately I can't sit there till dark. I've got stuff to do this afternoon, some people coming over, so, but I had a really good hunt. I got out there around 11 o'clock or so, and then it is about 3:30 right now when I'm on the way home, and I actually had a really good hunt. I saw a total of 3 deer. First was a doe, and then a buck chasing her, and then a little bit after that another buck came walking through. It was maybe, and that all happened at maybe about 100 yards from where I was, so no shot opportunities on any one of those 3 at that time. But I grabbed my grunt call and I called out to the buck, and he actually ended up coming in to about 30 yards, but on 2 different occasions I called him in, he got to within 30 yards and started, you know, messing around with some brush, and then turned around and went walking back up towards where the doe was, and then brought the grunt call back out again and started calling at him again, and he came back again and got to probably within 30 yards again, but unfortunately it was just behind some brush. I needed him to take, you know, go 10 more yards in either direction on either encounter, and I would have had a 30 yarder under shot at him. So it's unfortunate. It was a good buck, an older buck, and yeah, just wasn't in the cards for me this year to get a deer out on the public spot. Alright, today is November 12th, and I've had a really crazy day.
Had deer all around me since before it even got light out today. So much so I didn't even have time to, or wasn't able to get my camera up. God. It's a rough day. I will say, I have a doe down, that's for sure. I haven't got down to track her yet, but I can see the trail from the tree quite a distance, so I know she's down. I came into the funnel spot after a specific buck that was here all day yesterday, and so I figured he'd be here all day again today because he's probably tending a doe that lives here on the property. I was right. I saw him earlier this morning, or not, probably around noon, and he was chasing a buck that I had passed twice already today, who was chasing a doe. So, confirmed my suspicion. Big buck was tending a doe, and sorry about all the shaking. It is absolutely freezing outside. But anyway, so I was just hoping to, have him come back by at some point. And, I had a group of does come in, and decided to take one of them, so I did. And I was just sitting here, and about 15 minutes later, the buck I was after is coming straight at me, straight down the path that the doe took when she ran away. So I'm assuming I shot the doe that he was tending. Just an assumption. There were at least 2 or 3 other does in that group, so he could be tending one of the other ones. But anyways, he gets to 20 yards away on the trail from that doe I shot, and I was able to get pulled back on him. And when I went to release, I shot my bow hanger. Can't even tell you how upset I am right now about that. It was a buck of a lifetime. Huge. Would have dwarfed the deer I shot last year. Man, I'm upset. But I'm sticking it out for now. I doubt he'll be back, but sticking it out until the wife and kids can come help me take care of the doe. So I just wanted to give you an update while I was able to actually get a camera out. So once they get here, we'll get back with you and film the recovery.
Alright guys, well it's actually a few days later at this point. I did not end up getting any help. I completely forgot that my kids had dance and Spanish lessons, so didn't have any help with the recovery, and with it being 10 degrees outside, I quite frankly just wanted to get it done. The doe ended up running quite a bit farther than I expected her to. She probably ran I guess about 100 yards, which isn't far, and it was a completely easy blood trail. There was just blood spewing out everywhere. In fact, by the time I found her, there was hardly any blood coming out at all whatsoever. So, but she didn't go far, like I said, about 100 yards, and I was able to get her dragged out. Funny story though, while I was dragging her out, because I had actually got down a little bit early, since I had already screwed up my chances on the big buck. I decided to just get down, even though it was probably a day to sit in the stand regardless. But I got down, did the blood trail, and started dragging the doe out. And as I'm dragging her out, I happened to see another one of my shooters standing underneath the tree that I was sitting in. You know, he's not a big buck by any means, but he's definitely an older buck. I call him the short tine old 8. Probably wouldn't even score as well as this buck here, which he ended up scoring 125-ish. But like I said, not a huge rack deer, but definitely an old deer, and definitely a deer I would have taken had I gotten the opportunity. So I was a little disappointed at that. I was lucky that I actually saw him before he saw me, so I was able to get down and just kind of hunkered in there for a little bit. And when I thought he had completely walked off, I got back up and started dragging the doe again, but as it turned out, he had actually walked out of sight and then turned around and came back into sight and caught me. So he started stomping and, you know, blowing at me. He never did fully spook, luckily, but he was sitting there blowing for a good 3 or 4 minutes, trying to figure out what I was exactly. I'm pretty sure he could see the doe laying next to me, and that probably played a role in why he didn't just fully spook and take off. But yeah, it was an interesting drag, and it was, like I said, it was absolutely freezing outside, 10 degrees. My feet were completely numb. In fact, what's today? That was on Tuesday, and today is Friday night, and I still cannot feel the end of my big toe. I'm really sorry I don't have any footage of any of that hunt. I don't have any footage of the recovery. I don't have an after hunt interview with the deer. You know, my camera was not really wanting to film or work very well when I was filming up that last little bit up in the stand when I had the minute to do so. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do have one deer down now for the year, so I'm excited about that, and please stay tuned because I'm going to have a lot more footage coming up. Next weekend is the shotgun season for first shotgun season for Illinois, so I'll be heading down to the family farm for that, and then I'm giving the local funnel spot a few weeks off. I won't be getting back to there until probably Thanksgiving weekend at the earliest, just because with everything that happened there and having to walk through, it's only a small 11-acre spot, so with having to walk all the way through the property to get to recover the doe and get her out, I think it's best just to leave the spot sit for a couple weeks and let it cool off. I spoke to my buddy that lives there today, and he said that they've seen nothing but does since I was there, and it's mostly been like at night. So not surprising in the least, especially given everything that happened. You know, earlier in the day I had seen quite a few other deer as well, but a lot of them ended up catching my wind and blowing, well, not blowing and not fully spooking off, but just getting completely uneasy and barely getting to within 30 yards of me and turning around and taking, you know, heading back the other direction. So I most definitely caused a big disturbance on the property that day. So I'm very happy and fortunate to have gotten a doe that day. And yeah, we'll check in with you on the next hunt. Next time you see me, I'll be in a tree stand in southern Illinois in our family farm. Thanks for watching.